for joining us. This is a special edition, y'all. I'm super excited to be hosting this amazing podcast with the Atlanta Voice News. And we have Mr. Richard Dunn here. So listen, this is going to be very impromptu, but I want to kind of talk about the evolution of this entire podcast and why you decided that this was something that we needed to do as a community. Talk to me about that.
Man, this podcast for me serves multiple reasons or rationales behind it. So one is just the involvement or the evolution of the Atlanta Voice newspaper and the Voice News Network. Right, we have been in the newspaper publishing business for almost 60 years now, and as you know, the way people consume media and content and the way they receive their news is not necessarily limited to print anymore, right? So this is our step into evolving into more of a media company. And what better way to evolve than providing information that is not only useful but needed and necessary to the Black community in particular, and financial literacy is top of the line, right? So we as a community um, are struggling to a degree. As much as we are prospering and having success, managing financial resources has been a challenge in our community. And this is also a way to help remedy that problem.
Okay, good answer. Another question. It's going to be an easy question.
All right.
Tell us about who you are, what you've done, the imprint that you have created as far as your legacy is concerned when it comes to the newspaper and financial literacy.
Cool. So the legacy is this, right? My grandfather started the Atlanta Voice newspaper in 1966, started in the height of the civil rights movement, right? And so what many don't know is it was kind of like two communities at that point in time in terms of Black folk, right? You had this Booker T. Washington audience that was more or less like, hey, we separate or equal is fine. Leave them alone, they're gonna leave us alone, and we're gonna live. And then there was this other mindset like W. Du Bois, right? Where it was like, hey, not only do we want to evolve, but we want power, we want positioning, we want to be included. We want to do our own
We want to
thing.
sit at the tables.
Yeah, we want to sit at the table. It's a little bit more revolutionary. My grandfather was as such, because when he started the paper, he was working at another one already. But that leadership was of one mindset and he was of another. So it was basically that. It was a little bit of radical. He was a little bit of a radical, revolutionary to say the least. But it was his way of making a difference in the heart of the civil rights movement. So you want to tell stories about Black people written by Black people, just to make a difference and make an impact. My grandfather passed away in 91,
Okay.
and my aunt took over the paper. And she has done a fantastic job, which is, she
Beautiful
has
woman.
scaled the company, taken us to new heights, and she has us strong and healthy and in position to go into third generation. So kudos to him and definitely kudos to her to putting us in position to where, we are pretty sure we're going to be around another 50, 60 years, right?
That's
And
amazing.
so, that's what we are. And in terms of, just impact, Atlanta is a great place in terms of uh, its contribution to society as far as culture goes. And
Yeah.
we've been able to tell that story. And the other thing that, a lot of people don't talk about or we don't talk about is my aunt's work in real estate. She is responsible for a multitude of single family homes that have been quote unquote affordable housing. She has been in that space since the 80s and has, tens of thousands of units that she's contributed to, built from the ground up, are maintained and made sure that while gentrification is happening, everybody doesn't have to leave. And so I think that's a
Amazing.
great part of her legacy is that she has done her thing as a real estate developer. She's partnered with the city on many projects. At one point in time, she was chairman of the board of Atlanta Housing Authority. So, you know, the legacy is strong.
It
to say
definitely
the least.
is.
Yeah.
You didn't talk about yourself at all. I didn't hear how you produce India Ari's records. I didn't hear how
And
you were part owner in the Tom, Dick, and Hanks brand. I didn't hear about One Fest. I didn't hear
yeah.
about, is it Czechoslovakia or is it,
What?
what is it?
And you know,
Where's the place?
so
Croatia?
the,
Where do you go and speak in Canada?
ain't none of that's in Canada.
Where's
So, you know,
I'm joking, y'all.
yeah, I hear a lot of great things about me. Some of it's true, some of it I wish I did, man.
Okay.
But I have paved my path to say the least, in entertainment music in particular. I've done a lot on the touring and concert side.
Okay.
Most of the talent that I've worked with in the past has been touring acts.
Okay.
I produced a gang of festivals. I've worked with most of your favorite artists as a promoter. Done a lot of tour managing and own live venues. I've
Mm-hmm.
done a lot in that space. I've sold a lot of tickets. I like to say I've
Mm-hmm.
done a lot in the hospitality space. I've owned
Mm-hmm.
nightclubs and live performance venues, and started a restaurant or two as well in my day.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm proud of those things that I've done. But it's,
It is what it
it
is.
is what it is.
You're a humble guy.
Yeah,
So how financial savvy are you?
that's a good question. I think that you never get to a point where financial like strength or skill set is mastered. I don't think. I
Okay.
think it's always evolving because
Okay.
it's ebb and flows in it, right?
Yeah.
The economy's changing, business can be up and down. As an
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneur, it's more about resilience. I think that's the
Yeah.
thing that I have mastered.
Tenacity?
Yeah, yeah, and and
Yeah.
and and the ability just not to quit, right?
Yeah.
And to plan for a rainy day, and to live below your means, because
Mhm.
we're gonna have some moments where we can feast,
Yeah.
and we have moments when we stretching it, right?
Wait, so you do believe in living below your means?
You have to. If you want to be at an even kill as an entrepreneur, I think is needed and necessary.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you don't mind not having the best or
It's not about
what is
lack, and it's not
okay.
about
I love that.
having the best, right? But
Okay.
but the game is about how much you can keep. Like, money is a
Yes.
tool. So
Yeah.
if you don't have any money to utilize to build something else, like, so you can go spend 100 grand on a car,
Mhm.
or you can spend 40, 50, right?
Mhm.
At the end of the day, that car is going to get you from point A to
A to
point B.
B.
But if you blow the 100 and you're not liquid, right? And then
Yeah.
you can't invest and grow another business, then you can't grow your wealth, right? So
Okay.
it's better to have money saved.
Yep.
It's better to be liquid,
Mhm.
because if you're
Mhm.
liquid, then you can participate.
Wow, that was deep.
And so
Yeah.
most times when
Yeah.
when opportunities come around, if you can't participate because you're not liquid. So I believe in being liquid.
You believe in being liquid. Do
Mm.
you think this is the type of conversation we should have within our communities? Because social media has told the biggest, fattest lie that, you're supposed to be wealthy so you can have nice things. Do you think this is the type of conversation we should be having with the youth and people that's going to come up under us?
Yeah, absolutely. I think finance as a whole has just not been talked about properly in the Black community, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so, you know, even coming from a family as established as mine, I don't think necessarily the conversations were always had.
Mm-hmm.
I was just fortunate enough to have good examples and kind of pay attention enough to figure it out,
Mm-hmm.
but in a lot of spaces and places, money conversations was grown folk business. And so you
Yes.
don't ask me how I got something or why I got something. You mind your business. As
Mm-hmm.
a parent, I have learned that it's better to be transparent with your kids
Yeah.
so they can see. Case
Mm-hmm.
in point, I think we all get caught up. I remember one time asking my mama, she bought a new car, and it was like, well, how much did you pay for that car?
Mm-hmm.
And she gave me that traditional old school single mother, hey boy, mind your business.
Mm-hmm.
But in
Mm-hmm.
in hindsight, and my mother's brilliant,
Mm-hmm.
PhD, retired principal, right? So we talk about a
Mm-hmm.
very intelligent woman,
Very
right?
intelligent
And
woman.
always worked two jobs, always in school and working,
Mm-hmm.
right? So she hustles. But the answer should have been, respectfully, mama, the note is this, the insurance is that. I keep this much to the side because it's gonna break down. And I gotta have maintenance, and that's important because, again, if I'm not liquid, this car break down, we on martyr, and that's a problem. So I need
Absolutely.
this over here to keep this thing going. And why it's important to pay on time. I went to college and then experienced credit cards, and I just thought I had free money, right?
It's not
And
free.
that's not it, and I think parents should sit down. We don't use checkbooks anymore, but you should open up that app on your phone and say, hey man, this is how we pay the bills. This is how I prioritize the choices that I make with the money.
Yes.
Um, because it's needed and necessary. Home economics in school is, baking cakes and baking bread, but it really needs to be about the economics of how you run a house.
Yes. Love that. So, what are you doing when it comes to our community and financial literacy? And how are you giving back? How are you creating the conversations? Is it just through this Prosperity Playbook podcast? Like, what are some other things that you're doing?
This is definitely one of the important ones, right?
Yeah.
I choose not to be in the front. I kind of like to be in the back, but if you create a platform like this for somebody as intelligent as you, and we use our social capital to bring on the right people that really have vast experience and vast
Yes.
knowledge to share. I think that this format will be impactful and it's going to make a difference. And then we can establish this as our foundation,
Yeah.
and the verticals out of this podcast are phenomenal, right? We
Yes.
have already identified other products that we can do,
Yes.
conferences and events that we can do,
Yes.
in addition to the fact that we've had some guests on here that we are also considering doing spin-off shows with, right? So
Yes.
the sky's the limit. And so this is a seed that we have planted, and I'm excited to see what it grows into.
So let's have some fun. Guys, I'm smiling at him like, yes, eating every word that's coming out his mouth because he gave me this opportunity and he hadn't even laid eyes on me. He trusted his one of his business partners. And literally I'm super grateful. So let's have some fun. Um, list 3 professional ways or examples of how to say no. Because the reason I want to hear this from a man in business and as an entrepreneur, it's like we're always saying yes, yes, okay, maybe. But I think for the audience sake and just for entrepreneurs that don't know how to say no, we would love to hear you say no professionally. How do you say no?
Mm. Well, having a clear direction helps set boundaries, right? So if you
Yes.
know you're going that way, it's easy to say no if whatever the ask is going to take you off your path.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
but I'd rather answer the question based off some advice that my uncle James Washington gave me.
Mhm.
And Jim Washington told me how to say yes.
Mm.
Especially in business,
Okay.
said, Rick, you say yes if it's going to make you money.
Okay.
You say yes if it's going to lead to money or
Okay.
opportunity.
Mhm.
And you say yes if it's the right thing to do.
Mm.
And so I live by that, right?
Okay.
So if it's financially feasible, it's going to be advantageous. It's
Mhm.
going to, because business is a contact sport to me, right?
Yeah.
And profitability are points on the board.
Mhm.
So I play the profit every day. You know what I mean? I think all kids should study Monopoly and play
That's my
it,
favorite game.
right? Because
Favorite.
that's what we're doing out here.
Yeah.
We live in a capitalist America, and the name of the game is making bread, right? So
Yes.
it's gonna lead to money. It's gonna make me some money. At the end of the day, uh, spiritually doing the right thing. It's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need to invest in our community. We need to be a resource to others, which is also another reason why we need to manage our money the right way. You can't help your fellow man if you don't have anything to give. You can't pour from an empty cup,
Right.
right? So, keeping your cup as full as possible makes a difference. I mean, they tell you that when you get on the plane, right?
Yes.
This plane is about to
You worry about
crash.
yourself
Put
first.
your mask on first and then
Mhm.
help others, right? So
Yes.
you have to keep your mask on your face.
I love that. Next question. You
Hmm.
could only choose one. Happily married,
Hmm.
820 credit score, or 500,000 in cash every 5 years.
No, life is about relationships, man. I think
Okay.
happily married would actually be the right answer, man.
Okay. So
Yeah.
listen, so that leads me to this question.
Hmm.
Do you think you should get your honey where you make your money? Or do you feel like that should be separate? Like if you're in a relationship with someone, should he or she be all up in your business? Or should that be something separate because, you know, a relationship or a marriage is a business outside of your regular business, right?
Yeah. So, a couple of things, man. I think that depends on the two individuals, right?
Okay.
So, the first person you got to be honest with is yourself,
Okay.
right? And you can't date anybody or marry anybody that doesn't know themselves as well as you,
Hmm.
because you all need to be able to have the uncomfortable conversations. I've
Okay.
seen some couples work together, and it's an amazing thing, right?
Hmm.
My aunt and uncle have been married over 20 years now, and they work together. They run
Hmm.
multiple newspapers in multiple markets. They
Hmm.
see each other all day, every day, and they seem like they never get tired of each other,
That's
right?
amazing.
And there's some other folk, you know what I mean? But, but,
Yeah.
but,
Well, what do you believe?
well, I answered the question. Listen,
Okay.
and so, here's what I will say, right, about
Hmm.
just relationships in general. I'm big on relationships, right?
Okay.
And we are, like, if you believe in the higher power, right?
Yeah.
And I believe in God,
Me too.
but we don't see God in the physical, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So the way God blesses us is through relationships,
Yes.
right? So if
Hmm.
God wants to give you something,
Hmm.
He's going to give it to me or somebody else that's walking through your life, and they're going to put it in your hand,
Hmm.
right? So marriage is a blessing, and it's a commitment to God in front of God. It's more about that relationship than it is with each other. So
Yeah.
I'd rather a good wife that's got my back. You know what I mean? Because that's that battery pack that I would probably need
Hmm.
to get out here and make it.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Well,
So I
that's all
stand
the
on that one.
questions. Yeah, you did good on that one.
Okay. Hope so.
So that's all the questions I have. What
Uh-huh.
do you want to leave the audience with as far as this financial literacy conversation?
Man, I just want to challenge everybody to, do their research and be due diligent about learning more about financial literacy.
Hmm.
I want you to reach out to us and let us know what you want us to talk about.
Hmm.
I would
Hmm.
hope that you support this show,
Hmm.
not only with viewership and
Hmm.
subscriptions and liking, but sponsor, add, like,
Yes.
participate. We really want to grow this community. We want to grow relationships out here in the marketplace. So, you know, holler at us, please.
Yes, please. We don't like to beg.
Yeah,
Okay, but please. Okay.
please holler at us.
Thank you, Richard, for being here, y'all.
Thank
We
you.
will see y'all next week on the Prosperity Playbook podcast, provided by the Atlanta Voice News. Thanks,
Thank you.
Richard.
Appreciate you, homie.
All right, we done, y'all.